everybody. Welcome to another episode of After 30 with Cara Eriguel. I hope you're all safe and well and radiating amazing energy today. We have a gorgeous guest on the show. Very excited to have her on here. Someone I had the lovely opportunity of meeting about a week ago here in Mati. Funny story. So, I judged, judger, as a judger, I judged a pageant with her here in Mati. And of course, I took photos with her. And I found myself saying what titas would usually say to me when I was around her age, in my early to mid 20s. Sabi ko talaga, ganyan din ako kanipis noon. And that really got me thinking. When I was in my 20s, I hated my body. I always thought I was fat in the wrong areas or too thin or, my skin wasn't as nice and, whatever. But looking back, sexy ko kaya in my 20s. Now, a lot of my peers in their 30s say and share the same sentiments. I mean, what is that? The reality is that, though, growing up, we were somehow always made to feel like we weren't enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough. Someone's always better, taller, thinner, has better skin, smarter. Knowing and believing you are enough is one of the hardest things to do. But why? Because again, the reality is that you essentially are unlearning years and years and years of self hate, of comparing yourself to others, learning to love yourself completely, being confident in your own skin, knowing what you really want, and standing your ground. Finding your voice definitely does not happen overnight. This takes time, self awareness, and work. Nobody's ever born confident. Unless meron kayong kilala, please let me know. Or gorgeous. Confidence is something you can learn, thankfully. And beauty doesn't only mean great skin, beautiful hair, tall, thick lips. Beauty is an overall energy that you radiate. It's an energy that you radiate with. I want to say queen energy, an energy of self love, self respect, and self awareness. It takes a deep dive into the self for you to be able to radiate the queen energy. And today, we are so happy to have the opportunity to take a deep dive in with a queen herself. Host, model, Miss Universe Philippines 2023 finalist representing Mati Davao Oriental. Everybody, please welcome for the first time on the podcast, the gorgeous Klyza Castro. Hi!
Hello! Grabe yung intro, ah. Very tago sa puso.
Tamang-tama ba,
How
girl?
are you?
Right?
Very.
Hi! Look at you!
Hello. With the
Wait
matchy
lang.
white tops.
I know, right? Ba't ba ako nag-match? My gosh. Ang ganda mo masyado. Guys, but you see what I mean now with the nipes, right? Remember, I feel like I did say that out loud. Did I just say it in my head? Because I did use it as a caption eventually when I posted our photo. But I was like, ganyan din ako kanipis no.
You said that to me then in
I
person,
did.
I remember. Yeah.
Okay, well, it was too loud in my head. I couldn't contain it. No, but look, you are so gorgeous. Thank you so much for being here on the show.
Thank you
As
as
early as
well.
this is, and I know you're busy. I've been seeing your posts. I've been stalking you all over, and I see you're busy with like your modeling and everything. No, but so I did have a short, opportunity to be able to get to talk to Klyza when we had, when we did that thing together when he was here, and I was like, in that moment, tiyak, diba? Parang like first few minutes of us talking, I was like, girl, can you guest on my podcast?
Yeah.
Because because I was so attracted to your energy. I mean, obviously you are beautiful, but you're also very intelligent and you do have this queen energy that, I was talking about in the intro. So
Thank
this is
you.
something I would love to get to know a little more of, a lot more of.
Mhm.
Like I said, we'll take a deep dive and want to be able to share with our listeners as well. So I want to start with by asking you the question, is your confidence or this, I mean, kung meron lang like color aura, you are clearly radiating with queen aura. Is this something that you had to learn? Like, who was Klyza? Tell us a little bit about Klyza before entering the world of pageantry or modeling.
Oh my gosh. So, Back when I was still a kid, I wasn't like a cool kid or a popular kid. I was actually like the nerdy, awkward kid who'd always get picked on. Kasi I was so tall. I think when I was 13 years old, I was 5'3" na. Then everybody else was like 4. Yeah, I was like awkward talaga and I
What?
would bump into. Promise! So, like all the boys that I would have crushes on would be too small for me. So, sobrang awkward ng aking, my gosh, na aking teenager face. People always assume na I had this like pretty flowers and rainbows childhood, but I didn't. So, I think I got into the world of pageantry at the age of 19. And when I tell you na the kids I grew up with are like the biggest shock on their faces. Si Klyza magpa-pageant? Sure ka? Ganun, ganun sila. So, feel ko not naman learn, but something na like I experienced na rin over time, feel ko rin with the exposure sa industry. But it's not something, my gosh, it's not something that I was born with talaga.
You know, that's a that ano ba? What's the right word for it? Like a little comforting to hear, I guess, because a lot of these stories, like for people who get into, let's say, modeling or pageantry, or who
Mm-hmm.
get into this business, are usually people who would say, "I was an awkward kid." Like me, I always say I was freaking painfully shy. As in, hindi kita kakausapin if you don't talk to me. I was a quiet kid. You know, in like old
Mm-hmm.
VHS tapes, with all my cousins, I would always be the one like, shrinking in the corner. No, and that's so true, right? It's not something you're born with. Some kids, though, some kids are born
Mm-hmm.
be I mean, or not, they learn that way early on in their lives because of the environment that they're in. Maybe their parents are outgoing, or maybe they were exposed to a lot of these things. But nobody's ever like comes out of the mom's vagina and like, I'm confident. Diba? Sorry, you can be as open as you want on the podcast. Okay, I just said
Okay.
vagina. It's fine. Okay, um, but yeah. So I think somewhere along the way, people who have had those experiences grow up with a little bit more character, so to speak. Like, diba?
True.
It shapes your character as a person if you were, let's say, if you had those experiences growing up, and it took maybe it gave you a little more opportunity to look at yourself more inward, diba? More rather than listening to what other people will say about you on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
because you weren't praised, I guess, that way on the outside alone when you were growing up. You had a little bit more time to grow as a person. So, was there ever a time that you doubted yourself and thought that you were
Hmm.
not beautiful enough, intelligent enough, tall enough, which is ridiculous because you are very tall. But like you said, but yung inner critic kasi natin, like how we talk to ourselves, diba? That little voice in your head can be so
True.
ridiculous and unreasonable. Was there
Feel
ever a time
ko,
that you felt like
mhm.
you weren't enough, ganon?
Feel ko during, especially during my first pageant when I was 19 years old. Because it was my first time in Manila. I didn't know anybody here. And all the girls seemed to have like the entire industry and the entire pageant scene figured out. And I remember during the final screening, sabi nila, wear a casual dress. So I just pulled something out of my closet. Because it was like a Forever 21 mini black dress na pang gala mo nung teenager ka. And then when I went to the hotel, everybody had these like bongga na gowns. I just stared at everyone na, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? Should I just go home? Should I book a flight pauwi ng Davao, pauwi ng Mati? So, oh my gosh, I still remember that feeling. And even during Miss Universe Philippines, even though I had my previous pageant in my bag na, there's still that like imposter syndrome na feel ko like I'm not good enough to be here because of course you're competing with so many, oh my gosh, ang gaganda nila lahat. Ang daming my fans na, ang daming yung may tawag na machinery and pageant pag marami ka na resources for your candidacy. And I had it,
Mm-hmm.
pero I still had this feeling at this back of my head na feel ko hindi siya enough. But feel ko during time, as people sort of saw my hard work na and how I really want to represent our city and our province, it resonated na. So, but it's still at the back of my head. I just like showing it out of my wag ka muna mag ano. Ganon.
Tong imposter syndrome dito ka muna. You know what's funny?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everybody, you'll be surprised. Everybody thinks and feels the same way. Like we're all, diba? And there's this anxiety, there's this judgment. Usually it's really just in our heads, and but like when you really get to talk to people, you really get to know someone, you'll realize they feel the same way. And we're just stuck in our own little worlds, feeling like everybody's judging us. We're not doing enough. We're not good enough. When in fact, the other person is thinking the same freaking way. Oh my God.
True.
Diba? Nobody's
Totoo.
going out of their way to look at you and judge you. They're busy judging themselves. They're busy thinking if they're enough as well. But I did feel the same way. Thank you for sharing that. You were 19, very young. I was also about like 18 or 19 maybe when I did my first ever like show for TV5 pa yon. I was with Sinaveline, like Alex Gonzaga.
Galing.
Artista na sila nung mga time na yon. They weren't as big as
Mhm.
they are now, but they were already like Empoy, ganyan, mga comedians. It was a comedy show. And so I get in, I come from freaking UP, wearing my chinelas, my t-shirt, my shorts, a backpack. Sabi lang nilang, dala ka ng dalawa, tatlong outfits. So I brought like shirts and shorts, ganyan. I get there with my backpack and I come in the dressing room. They have their own freaking folding beds, I mean, taping chairs. They
Uh-huh.
have boxes and boxes of their sponsored outfits with their makeup artists and everything. And I'm there sitting on my monoblock, like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I think
True.
for a lot of us, we start that way. And like I said, builds character, allows you to learn more about yourself, helps you become a little bit more resourceful, diba? And like makes you
Mhm.
realize there's something else, something more that you have to offer. That's why you're being given this opportunity. Like you're already there. Like, why the hell will you go back to Mati? Why the hell will you go
True.
back to Davao? Diba? You're there for a reason. But okay, so I'm curious as to like if you've ever like dug in deep because you are young. I mean, much younger than I am. But kids these days, okay, like a true tita. No, your generation, you guys are very woke. I mean,
Mhm.
huge thanks to, of course, our parents, your parents as well, and the interweb, for this easy access to all this information. And you guys are so ano ba, very introspective yung generation ninyo. So where did you ever like take a deep dive and um try to like figure out where your inner critic was getting that from, like how you were getting this sort of self-doubt?
Hmm. Feel ko when I was growing up, I always thought of myself as a people pleaser. Yung tingin
Mhm.
ko. Pero as I got older, I realized na like the worst and the highest expectations of myself are coming from myself. Like even with things like grades, I thought na my parents would make a big deal out of it, pero if I didn't make the mark that I na gusto ko sana, and then my parents would tell me, no, no, it's okay. But ako mismo sa sarili ko, ang nagbe-bring down sa akin, sabi na, no, you could have done better, you could have done better. So even, kunyari with castings, my gosh, di ba like, alam na dapat natin na rejection is part of the process, but sometimes it hits hard na, oh, maybe you're just not the look they're looking for. Ganyan sinasabi. But sometimes you feel na, okay, so I'm not enough. Like, back to the drawing board. I need to improve something and gonna. Like, constantly trying to prove myself. And to be honest, I'm still trying to outgrow that ngayon na, like, as I'm re-entering the modeling industry na, with models na super, super established na, walking with many great, great designers na, okay, na I came from pageants and now I'm doing modeling and it's okay to start over and it's okay to meet new people and it's okay to seem clueless sometimes, pero at least I did try. Diba sabi nga nila na, ano nga yun, 50% of success is showing up. So that's what I think whenever I would get imposter syndrome going to like a casting or an event na 50% of success is showing up.
Yes, just freaking showing up. Baka nga hindi
Diba?
50%, maybe like 70 freaking percent. And then the rest is just kapal ng mukha, you know? It's just showing
True.
up. But that's so true. And thank you for getting into that because that's something that I kind of want to ask on the side as well. Because getting into this industry, more so yours. I mean, at least for
Mm-hmm.
mine, like, okay, acting, maybe that's why I walked away from that after having gained, some of the wonderful experiences and the friends that I did gain. I went into hosting, and then I went into radio. But standing in front of people, auditioning for roles, auditioning for commercials, auditioning, you're in a world where you are constantly being judged for the way you look, how the way you do things, the way you speak, the way you present yourself. And most times people will, yes, say that it's not you. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you're not pretty enough. It's just because you're not the look that they're looking for. But you can't help
Mm-hmm.
but, walk out of that room and feel like, I should have done better. Or, naghahanap sila ng singkit, dapat pala inchik na lang. Alam mo yun? Like, I could have changed the way I look, Like, I don't know.
True.
Maybe they were looking for someone with blonde hair. I should have wore a blonde wig or whatever. You can't help but, because and the jobs that we get, I guess as freelancers this way, is constantly that way. Like, yung, ano ba, process of getting work is always a process of being reaffirmed as I'm enough. Oh my God, they got me for
Yeah.
this work because I'm good enough. Oh, because I'm like, but that's not true, you know? And again, just
Yeah.
keep showing up. Just keep showing up. And that's what everybody who have succeeded will always say. Nobody ever steps in and becomes successful right away, diba? Or feels like they're the best right away. So you're saying, I heard you say that even until today, you still have some self doubt. Even after having experienced
Mm-hmm.
Miss Universe and, being in that world, having a taste of that world, you still have self-doubt. How do you deal with it? Like, let's say you're about to step out for a gig, or you're doing your
Mm-hmm.
makeup and everything. How do you deal with the self-doubt?
Oh my gosh. So like the recent show that I did was the first show after Miss Universe Philippines, and I thought, na okay, it's just a show. But then I forgot na like modeling shows and pageant shows are sort of different. So meron pa yung parang adjustment period, especially during rehearsals and ganon ganon. So along the way, like mga a few hours before the show started, I was thinking nga to myself na could I even do this? And even like right before I walked out, kinakabahan ako. I was like laughing with the other beauty queens kasi we share the same sentiments. Tumatawa kami na, ba't tayo kinakabahan? Ano ba to? Scored ba to? Pageant ba to? Ganon-ganon na lang pala mo tayo for a design. It was a bridal show. So feel ko, like the doubts that I had during my pageant journey still sometimes like trickle over to my modeling gigs now. Pero since the industry naman is different, I'm just trying to separate the two and not be afraid to start over and also not be afraid to make mistakes kasi my gosh, human naman tayo. So, yeah, yun lang yung akin. I mean, I'm not denying na I still have self-doubts now, pero I'm willing naman to put in the work to, overcome those self-doubts.
I have a little bit of a like an inside medyo ano ba issue question. No, no,
Uh-huh.
because okay, I did. Please don't laugh at me, okay? Medyo nag-try din ako
Okay.
like modeling, like
Oh,
whatever, like small pageant. But just like super small, okay? Like mall levels, ganyan. When I was
yeah.
in college, like my friend was just directing it and he was like, come, let's just for fun, join, ganyan. Okay. But I was 8 na yan, ganyan, 17, 18. And I found myself in a situation where I was around a lot of beautiful girls, but the way I dealt with it, because it was very different, because I come from being painfully shy, right? And then worked on
Yeah.
myself, took up theater, performing was something I loved. I guess because it was outside of me, I was pretending to be somebody else when I'm on stage, when
Mm-hmm.
I'm acting, ganyan. So that was my preparation for that. I'm not Gara, I'm somebody else, ganyan. But I would always be around pretty girls. But my way of dealing with that was the same thing I would when I was younger. I would, just sit in one corner, smile, ganyan. Like, di ako
Mm-hmm.
masyadong nakiki-engage. Because di ko gets yung pinag-uusapan nila. I didn't get what, like, designers they were talking about, or these makeup. I didn't know anything about makeup. But, like, girls can be catty,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a competition setup. Did you ever have, it's okay if you don't want to answer this, but I'm just
Mm-hmm.
curious. Like, did you ever have those experiences, like having some girls be a little bit catty towards you and being a little bit awkward? How did you deal with that?
Feel ko naman not catty. Kasi like now with the cancel culture, any like one
Mm.
misstep, just automatically canceled ka na and you won't have a chance for the crown. But like mid to yung near na the finals, everybody was in competition mode na. Of course, we would still
Mm.
chat and laugh and ganyan. Pero everybody was so in their own zone. So, parang di ko na rin na-mind yung ibang girls during that time. Kasi ako, I was like overthinking the hell out of myself. Na, oh my gosh, ano gagawin ko? Ganyan.
Right.
So, pero yung, I would hear stories ng mga times, ng mga like early 2000s, early 2010, na nagbe-burn ako ng clothes or binabasa yung mga ganon. Fortunately, wala namang ganon sa amin. As in, even during trips, we would like, naka-open lang yung mga maleta and wala namang, like things won't go missing. Pero definitely like yung pressure ng competition, yun yung mafe-feel mo sa atmosphere nung malapit na yung
Mm.
finals. Yeah.
Man, Klyza, you just made me feel so old. You're like before
Wow!
in the 2010s, in the 2000s, I'm like, yun yung mga panahon na kati yung mga girls sa. So that was our time during the olden times.
Mhm.
And
Kasi walang social media, no? And people could get away with
exactly.
anything. And the people would like rub it off lang, rumor lang yan. Pero ngayon, bibidyohan ka lang, my gosh,
Wala
canceled.
na.
Ganun ka na kagad. True.
Tama. So I guess lucky in a way. And you were also
In a
mentioning to
way.
me like there are a lot of adjustments and changes in the pageantry world now. Like you mentioned something like
Super.
the age ano ba? Ano yun? What are the changes so far
Hmm.
in the
Hindi
recent
naman siya
years?
like changes sa, oh, tinanggal na yung height requirement. Tinanggal na din. Pwede na rin yung married women and
Oh,
even pregnant women and women with children. In MUP lang in Miss Universe Philippines, which is
uh-uh.
so cool. And also, I remember before na the peak years, may tawag na peak years, were around like 21 to 24. So if you hit 25, you're nearing na yung para expiration date. Pero
Hate that.
binrake siya ni Arbony, yung nanalo ng Miss Universe this year. And she won at
Mhm.
28. I think she's the oldest Miss Universe ever. And
Wow.
the reigning queen before her, Harnaz from India, won at 21 years old. So sobrang ano sila.
Ayo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super young. And then it was actually answered nga by Arbony in her Q&A nung finals na she would like the age requirement to be increased pa. Kasi why daw limit women to only 28? So I feel
Mhm.
like the change is coming. Feel ko may ka like a few years from now siguro, baka they'll increase it na to 30. Kasi I know other pageants like Miss Supranational, the one that Pauline is competing right now. The age limit is 32? 32, I think. Yun na ata yung pinaka like oldest age of all the alpha pageants.
Pa ako umabot. Plano ko sana sumali. Akala ko naman change is coming. Oh, women in their 30s, if you still wanna join, pwede para hanggang 32.
True.
No, I love that. I love that for us. I love that for you. And I love that for the, I guess, for the industry that we are making some changes, making room for
Mm-hmm.
inclusivity. Like you said, beauty has no bounds, beauty has no boundaries. And that's amazing. But yeah, I can still imagine how difficult it must be to be in that world. And like I said, I think I mentioned that to you, like, grabe yung bilib ko. Because, just sitting there and, judging these pageants, I've only done it ever here in Mati. And, like seeing
Mm-hmm.
all these women. And if I don't know if you remember, but I always just take a couple of seconds before asking my question to say, huminga ka muna.
Oh
Kasi alam
yeah,
ko,
you even did it
kinakabahan
during
ka.
the finals, diba? You asked the
I
academy to
know.
breathe.
I can't not because that's also my own, the voice inside my head that's going, if I were in her shoes, I would die. Like, this is the moment that I'm probably holding my
I
breath
would
and
die.
turn blue. Oh my God. Like, wala na,
Mm-hmm.
I'm dead. But yeah, so it just takes a little bit more kindness, I guess, on an outside perspective to go, it's okay. Take a deep breath. I know you're feeling nervous, diba? I know you're scared. And the thing is, you have to be beautiful. You have to stand there
Yeah, oh
in
my
your heels,
gosh.
look pretty, sexy, smile, look confident and beautiful. Ang hirap kaya gawin nun pag kinakabahan ka.
True. As in, sometimes like during, pag sobrang ang tagal na namin ngumiti, like my jaw would like shake na kasi like you would smile for like hours and hours and hours, and even if pagod na kami, you can't show na pagod ka, or else you'll be branded na, hala, baka snob siya, baka may attitude siya, ganun ganon. So even if pagod, laban lang, ngiti ka lang talaga dapat.
I know. Well, that's a good lesson in there, I guess, to take like as a
Mm-hmm.
life lesson. That's a value, that kahit gaano ka kapagod, if you really want something, it's really something you're hungry for, then you will have to make sacrifices and you will have to take it and just smile and take one
Mm-hmm.
beautiful queen step at a time. Okay. So, next question, what trials and mistakes did you go through and make that you think helped you find your voice? Because I'm gonna just share this
Mm-hmm.
with them. No, I've always had my 35-year-old freaking old school self growing up in the mid 2000s, like what Klyza said, in the olden days. I've always had, I've always had, these assumptions and judgments with like beauty queens, like, oh, they're
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, they're smart, but maybe they're not that deep. Alam mo yun, all these things that you see kasi in
Yeah.
movies and TVs, there's always that judgment. Because you also see some, diba? Anyway, I don't want to get into that. But talking to Klyza, I was just like, and I did enjoy having, short conversations with you. And what an intelligent, introspective, like, woman, and you did radiate that. That's what I was saying. It's an energy that I think at 35 you're more conscious about. I don't know about you, but ngayon lang in my 30s ako naging more aware of people's energies. Like before, it would just be like on the outside. Ah, maganda siya. Ah, mabait siya. Ah, fun siya kasama. That's it. Masaya siya kainuman. Ganyan, kaya niya mag-apat na beer. Tapos boy pa kaming lahat. All those superficial things. But like, now it's more like it's an energy that I appreciate more than anything else. And you did have that energy. But like I said, it takes a lot for people, it takes a lot for people to have that energy, to radiate that energy. You're not just born with it. You don't just learn it. It's not taught in school. Maybe it should be, but it's not taught in school. So, what trials and mistakes do you think you had to go through and make that helped you find your voice? Did you have any sort of external help, or was this a journey that you took all by yourself?
I remember during my first pageant, yung when I was 19, sobrang I wanted to be the perfect pageant girl. So, like, I would study how the other girls would dress and how they would walk and talk. Sabi ko, sige, ganito pala yung kinahanap nila, ganyan, ganyan. Without looking inwards, sarili ko, na ano ba yung meron sa akin sarili that can't be found sa other girls? Like, what are my unique traits and characteristics, ganon. And that changed because in Miss Universe Philippines, I fully embraced na, and I would say it out loud talaga, loud and proud, na I have indigenous roots from the Mandaya tribe sa Davao Oriental na marami
Mm-hmm.
rin sa Mati. And it made me so sad kasi talaga before, I used to be like borderline ashamed of this identity. Kasi we don't see it represented in media without it being na, alam mo yung mga typical na taga-bundok and mangmangan and educated ka
Mm.
na. And during my advocacy work, the chieftain, who is a woman, kaya sobrang we connected,
Wow.
sabi niya, the term Mandaya used to be an insult na talaga, na you're uneducated and mangmang and ganyan. And they're happy na we're slowly breaking that stigma, na they're proud na. Kaya nga like the saying is, basta Mandaya matimaw. Matimawa means beautiful. People
Mm.
would randomly come up to me here in Manila or like comment in my photos na matimawa, matimawa, and it makes me so happy na these little things that I could do for them. So I feel like yung depth as being a pageant girl changed so much now over the years. Kasi before, you would only show up, be pretty, and if you say the right
Mm.
things, you win. Ngayon, you have
Mm.
to represent something and have a higher purpose than yourself in order to be deemed worthy, or kasi, alam mo yun, like the way you speak, sobrang nahahalata nila if parang nag-ano lang, etchos-etchos
If
lang to
binoboto
siya for the
ko lang
sake.
sila.
Yeah, like mga raising awareness and all that. It's good, pero you really have to solidify it now. Why are you here? Ano bang pinaglalaban
Mm.
mo? What are you representing? And I feel like yun yung mistake na I'm happy na I corrected now kasi I'm really proudly representing na, I guess, this identity and this character.
I love that, and I love that for you. My husband's family, ano rin sila eh. They're also they have
Yeah,
Mandaya
there's like
roots.
the Mandaya clothing, the Dagmay in Mayor Michelle's office. Super big, super lovely.
Yeah, and Mandayas are beautiful.
Super.
Ang ganda ng ano, features, and not just that, very powerful, and there are a lot of, and ang representation ng Mandaya woman is very strong, like strong-willed women that are feared,
True.
yo. And like you said, the chieftain is a woman that's amazing. No, but
Hmm.
I'm
And she
so
she became the chieftain when she was 27,
wow.
28, super young. And then she's like mga 30 something na now. And then alam mo yun, like the entire tribe is filled with elders and they respect her so much even if she's young. Sobrang na-amaze ako when I went there.
I love that. That says so much. And, I love that you said when you did look inward, because a lot of people make that, I don't want to say mistake, but that's the first thing they think they need to do getting into something. You need to be someone that people will like. You need to market yourself, sell yourself, do something that people will love so that you will succeed. The truth is, diba, as you get to learn more about yourself as well, and whatever career or job you're getting into, it's more when you love what you do and when you love who you are and you know who you are and what you're more than your passion, what your purpose is, then like-minded people will join you. They will like you, they will support you, and not only that, you could potentially inspire more people to believe in what you believe in and do the things that you do. I love
Yeah.
that it's changing also, like the pageantry world, that you're not, like you said, you're not just standing there to be pretty, and if you gusto ko yung sinabi mo na if you say the right things then you're good. It's not just all about that anymore, because you're beautiful, you're amazing to look at, 'di ba? And not just that, you have something to say. And that's why you're given that
Mm-mm.
platform. And so it gives more depth, more ano ba, mas mabigat pag meron ka talagang bit-bit na message along with you. That's why you're there.
True.
I love that. Okay, but at this point in your life, love that, love it. At
Love
this
that.
point in, at this point in your life, would you say you still have insecurities? But you said
Oh
meron
my
pa ring
gosh.
self-doubt. Are you comfortable with sharing this with
Yeah.
us? Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
what are these insecurities? What are these insecurities that you still have? Teka, before you answer that, can you just like look at the camera and like, show your face and everything? Like, look at how gorgeous she is. Guys, my insecurities pa rin yung ganyang kaganda, okay? That's the point. Walang perfect. Okay, so what are these insecurities, Klyza?
So, diba there like different like body standards, I guess. During sa pageant, you have ang weird kasi we all became so skinny per dahil na yun sa pagod. But
Mm-hmm.
looking back, people would always compliment me na, oh, you're so statuesque and ganyan, 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 ganyan. Pero when I would look at myself in the mirror, it would be like a constant cycle. Na some days I would feel super thin, and some days I would feel super fat, which is weird. And then, alam mo yung in social media, like meron yung curvy girls na hina-hype up and meron din yung mga model Bella Hadid types. And I fit
Mm.
more than some model stereotype, I guess. Pero some days, you just wish na you're, alam mo yun, yung mas hourglass, I guess, yung figure, and you could rock, alam mo yung mga bodycon dresses more, ganon. Because those insecurities sometimes come in, especially when like scroll through TikTok and I would see so many influencers with quote unquote the perfect body. Pero I'm happy naman now na yung mga influencers na ganon. Sometimes they would speak up, no, I had this through surgery, yung mga ganyan. Kasi sometimes you would see them and think na, what the perfect na ka na mga katawan? Paano ba yung gawin? Parang di naman siya kayang i-work out. My gosh, what
Ah,
do I do to achieve that? Pero yung ganon, pero honestly, I'm kind of happy naman with my body right now. Pero, I mean, sometimes when you see other girls lang in social media, you can't help but think na, is that what I should strive for? Or is that what I should want for my own body? So, yeah. Feel it's just trying to break the cycle and like, hindi naman trends. Bodies are not trends. So, bahala kayo dyan.
no, but yeah, therein lies what you were saying a while ago. You find and figure out what it is that you love about yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the energy that you put out there, instead of going, I need to be this thin, I need to be like that. And like I said, when I was your age, when I was much thinner, I guess slimmer, I didn't even pay much attention to it. I drank like a fish. But I didn't care. I ate all the liempo and all the freaking lechon I could. But
Uh-huh.
and I felt, because probably because I did all those things, I felt fat then. But I wasn't. And we all just have all these expectations, I guess, of ourselves because of what we see on magazines pa nung panahon na yon, kasi wala pa social media. I make myself sound so old. TV and seeing all these, and it's that's, I feel like, what this is for, like what we're sitting here for, being able to share our own experiences and say that, clarify that, no, guys, it takes a lot for somebody to look that way. For somebody to have abs, you don't wake up with abs, you work on it. For somebody to have, um let's say, good skin or whatever, some people have it done. Some people go to freaking dermas every week to get their
True.
faces, like all these lasers now that you have. And not just that, even your character is something that you need to work on. 'Di ba? Being confident. Because some people always say, ang galing, ba't ang confident mo? Like, how? Sana all, ganyan. Trinabaho po. Hindi po siya madali.
True.
'Di ba? It's experience. It's, for me, 75, 80, o pataas na ng pataas, 80% showing up and kapal ng muka. So, how do you deal with your insecurities? Like, do you have any tips for, like, let's say there are women who are listening right now, or whoever, but whatever you identify as, who are listening right now, who want to join pageantry or become a model? Do you have any tips for them, like maybe before going out on stage or before talking to someone being interviewed? Like, meron ka bang like one, two, three tips? How do you get over that voice
Mm-hmm.
in your head?
Feel ko, in my perspective at least, my
Mhm.
confidence came from preparation. I think
Mm.
I decided that I really wanted to join MUP na back in December. Then the screening was in Feb. So I had like 2 months, but I was still training. I was training a bit na back then. And I know na my biggest strength is Q&A. So I was doing like, we were doing like weekly trainings now with Q&A and weekly trainings also of pasarela, yung runway, no walk. But I knew na
Mm.
yun yung aking weak link, I guess. Yun yung something that I really, really needed to improve on. So what I did is that I had private yung one-on-one lessons with our pasarela trainer. I think almost every day during the month
Wow.
of January, as in almost every day. Then I would document myself. Then from that first video, and then oh my gosh, before I joined, I didn't know how to turn like the full 360 turn. That was my biggest insecurity joining in pageants because I felt like if I couldn't do a turn, I couldn't win. So that was the one thing that I
Mm.
really, really practiced during the whole month of January. And then I posted my swimsuit performance during finals. And when I would feel down, I would just rewatch that video. Na, oh my gosh, I've come so, so, so far. Even though I still had many,
Mm.
many doubts. Yung yun lang na aspect, the passerella aspect, I was already so proud of myself. So Fico, my advice would be to really know, of course, maganda naman talaga maging confident. Oh yeah, you can win. Pero don't be afraid to know what you need to improve on. So if it's passerella, do what I did. If it's Q&A, do your research. What we did is we followed all the news outlets, Instagram, like BBC and CNN and all that. So we would know what's happening
Mm.
internationally and locally. And if it's Q&A, then watch TED Talks, watch like Catriona and all the yung mga magagaling mag Q&A na beauty queens to really, really hone. And what we did, oh my gosh, kasi my roommate sa Eastern Samar when we went there, used to be a Q&A trainer, then she joined. So
Wow.
what we did to keep ourselves lang like on our toes, like whenever we would do our makeup, we would randomly ask each other questions na, okay, what's your biggest inspiration ganyan ganyan? So we would answer lang namin siya. Para lang siyang training and exercise, I guess. Para lang makuha namin Q&A. So I think that would be my advice.
That's a great advice. Thank you for saying that, because that's a point I really also want to make. Apart from
Mm-hmm.
saying all of this takes hard work. You know, it's not,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't come easy. It takes a lot of work and a lot of self-awareness. And also at the same time, not just focusing on your strengths, but focusing on both. Looking, that's why nga, looking inwards, looking at because if you have strengths, you have not necessarily weaknesses, but maybe you're just not, hindi siya strong suit mo. Okay? There's this thing, I don't know if you're familiar with it, the Clifton Strengths test.
Oh.
It's a test that you take. Look it up online. There's a book actually somewhere here behind me. But so the idea is that okay, so you take this test and there are like 39 or like 38, 40 strengths in each person. It's like a DNA.
Ooh.
Para siyang what it's essentially saying is that we all have strengths, all of us have all these strengths. It's just that the order in you know in the I guess gravity or yung galing mo is magkakaiba.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my strong suit is I'm strong in communicating, and maybe that's top one for me, and maybe that's top five for you. Ganyan lang. But we all have these strengths. Magkakaiba nga lang siya ng numbering, 1 to 38. Ito yung pinakamalakas ako, ito yung medyo hindi ako ganun kalakas. So it's great when you see that, because then you can now look back at the list and go, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what I will keep working on so I can be the best at it. At the same time, this is what I'm not so good at. So I'll work on it maybe 3, 4, 5 times even more so that I can put it up the list. You know, it's great to look at yourself that way and see that, oh, it's not because hindi ako magaling. It's because hindi ko pa lang siya na-practice or hindi ko pa lang siya naaral.
True.
'Di ba? And you
Yeah.
always will have the time and space if you really want to make time and space for it to learn it. Like what you said, freaking every day in January you studied it because you knew that that wasn't a strong suit of yours. Instead of just going, and some people will really go, "Kung magaling, wag na lang. Di ako magaling dyan, wag na lang." I do that to myself sometimes even until now.
Yeah.
'Di ba? Hindi lang ako magvo-vlog, di ako magaling. Sino manonood sa akin? 'Di ba? But really, the truth is you can be good at it if you really want it enough. Now, if you find yourself saying, wag na lang, maybe look inwards also. Maybe there's something there. Maybe you don't really want it that much. And you move on to your next strength or your next weakness, so to speak, and work on that and figure out where you can place yourself for your purpose. Again, it's not finding yourself is not just about finding your passion. It's more about finding your purpose, what you can give, what you love, what you're great at, and at the same time, how you can share it to humankind. And I thank you, Bao. Okay, last couple of questions for me, Klyza. I know you're a busy gal. Okay, what for you is queen energy? I've said it so many times on here. You do radiate it. People who are watching this live definitely see it. People who are listening to you, who have watched you walk the runway and do your thing on Miss Universe, have seen it. You radiate queen energy. What for you is that energy, and what do you think are the habits one should start and things they need to learn and unlearn so that they can step into this queen energy?
Pico, it's a mix of being confident and also inspirational, siguro, I guess. There's this joke between beauty queens na para, alam mo yun, yung posture and yung regal na tindig and aura of being a beauty queen, in order to practice it. As in, even if maghuhugas na ka ng pinggan, dapat yung like shoulders back. Yeah, kahit mag-ayos ka.
Paano? Okay,
Basta
turo mo sa akin. Turo mo. Paano?
Basta dapat shoulders back and chest up
Okay.
and neck up. Dapat, di ba dapat never mo binababa ulo mo or else the crown will fall. It's a saying. So dapat, yeah! So chin up
Oh.
always or else the crown will
Okay.
fall. Even if
Okay.
nag-grocery ka daw, you're pushing the cart, dapat like regal pa rin. Para siyang joke among beauty queens. Pero I don't do it all the time. Pero feel ko like yung mga ganun. Even if nakapambahay ka lang. Kasi it's not about the clothes naman din. And feel ko yung mga things that you should unlearn. I won't say doubts kasi, parang ano ko naman kasi I still have the doubts. Pero feel ko, ilang beses na natin sinabi, I guess yung looking inwards and seeing that you do have strengths. And even if you have weaknesses, you know, the thing that I learned all throughout my journey is that there really is discomfort in growth. So if you want to
Mm-hmm.
grow, be ready to experience the discomfort because, of course, it's outside your comfort zone. For me, during my pasarela trainings, it took like a huge amount of humility like rewatching the videos during my first trainings na, oh my gosh, I am bad. Like accepting to yourself na you're not good at something. But at least during that awareness, you know okay, alam mo na you're not that good at something. So of course, the next step is practicing to get good at it. And I remember like mid MUP, when people would compliment my walk na, it might seem the most shallow thing ever, but it really meant something talaga to me. Kasi they don't know that I spent hours and months of practicing that. Kaya
Exactly.
ayon, like, yung mga ganun na growth, it pasarela might be shallow, or even in any industry, don't let someone, I guess, like dim your light or discredit the hard work that you put in if you really want it. Kaya ayan.
Yay! Nice. Thank you. Gusto ko yun ha, that it means so much to you when someone commends your, the walk, pasarela, it's called. Because yeah, you worked so hard to get to do
Yeah.
that, to be able to do that, right? And on the outside, people just see it as a, diba? And we were talking about it, I think, on the side when we were judging. I said, yung walk na yan, it looks so graceful, it looks so easy, pero ang hirap aralin
Ang
yan, diba?
hirap. Yeah.
I can, because that walk is not natural at all. Like nobody freaking
Do
walks
you
like
know
that
that
in the grocery.
the ideal feet na placement when we're walking is dapat palabas? Pa straight. I mean, the line is straight, pero yung feet palabas.
Parang
Diba, it
ballerina.
goes against your
Yeah.
natural na paglakad. Kaya it's so hard, my gosh.
Para siyang, I guess in dance, para siyang yung jazz walk. But more like, ganon.
Yeah,
Meron siyang,
true.
meron hindi, ganyan. Diba? And as you're walking, hindi lang yung walk, even your face and yung tayo mo. Literally, that's how you're being
Mhm.
judged on paper, you guys. Posture, choo-choo, ganyan. And like,
Yeah.
every single step should be like, ang ganda ko. Ang ganda ko. Ang ganda ko. Diba? Ang galing ko. Yeah. But it takes a lot of work. And I heard, who was this out? God, I was talking to this like really amazing comedian. I was like, how do you do it? Like, were you born funny? Like, were you just really funny when you were in grade school and like growing up? And sabi niya, well, I guess, yeah, because I grew up in a family who liked to make jokes and everything. But it's actually harder to be funny. Parang it's harder to make people laugh. Especially in
Mm.
stand-up, ganyan, like people who do stand-up, or even
Oh
comedians
my
who,
gosh, because that would be so scary, no? Doing
diba?
stand-up comedy.
Exactly. When you make a joke and you're just like in your head, it's so funny, but nobody react. Oh my god, it's harder to make people laugh than to make people cry. So, and kahit yung mga kunento rin niya parang yung mga slapstick comedians, ganyan. It's not
Mhm.
easy. It's not easy. It's hard. It looks easy because people have practiced. People have done it way too many times to make it look easy. And that sounds like a bad thing. But it's actually an amazing, powerful thing. It's an empowering thing to know and to hold on to right now is that making things look natural and making it look easy is not really easy, but what that only really means is that you can work on it. If you really want it bad enough, you can definitely work on it. And you can be like Klyza. You can be like the Klyzas of the world who have worked on themselves and are still continuing to work on themselves. No, that's beautiful. That you are able to accept that and say that out loud that nobody is perfect. I'm still working on myself. I'm a work in progress. And that's the amazing thing we have and can do in our lives is keep growing,
True.
keep learning new things and keep becoming better versions of ourselves. So I have one last question for you, Klyza, something that I ask all the guests here on the show. We can have all these, we live with our own self-doubts and insecurities, and these things bring us down but another amazing thing about life is that when you put yourself in a space of gratitude and you're aware of all the things that you should be grateful for, all the things that you do have instead of the things you don't have, it just makes life easier. you know
Yeah.
so what are these things? I would love for you to share with us like these things that you're grateful for, people you're grateful for. It can be one major thing or 10 things, up to you.
Hmm. Fico, I'm super, super lucky to have the support of my family. Because, of course, being in the beauty pageant industry and joining MUP, it's really expensive. Kaya, when I told my family na, they know naman it's been my childhood dream. And they really said that they're gonna support all out. And it really made a huge difference knowing that I have this group of people that I can rely on. Of course, also having a supportive partner, supportive friends, and even like random people that you don't know. Some people would shoot me messages na, thank you for standing up and thank you for representing the indigenous community. For them, sobrang lit lang yun ang message. Pero when I would like feel super down or like yung nights that I would cry because of some performances, then I would look over at these messages. Sobrang, as in, it keeps you going, I guess. So, feel ko having these people to cling on when, especially when times gets rough, it really makes all the difference for me. And I'm really, really happy that even after my pageant journey, I still have these people that support me. And my gosh, whenever I would join again, hopefully, nandito pa rin yung same group of people. So, ayun.
There will definitely be more people standing behind you, beside you, and supporting you moving forward. Definitely, Klyza. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you
Thank
for your time.
you.
Thank you for sharing your queen energy. And I'm so excited for this journey. Sounding like a true tita. Yakapin na natin. Let's own up to it. I'm so I was so ano ba, intrigued, and I'm in awe of the energy that you emit, like I said. And I can only imagine how amazing things pa can be for you. And I'm so excited for that.
Thank
I hope you don't
you.
forget us when you do get there. Please, when you come back to Mati, shoot me a message. Girl,
Yeah.
ikutin natin lahat ng dagat dito. Please lang. Magdagat ka ulit. But yeah, thank you
Actually,
so
yes,
much.
please.
Please invite our listeners to follow you, support you like on your socials, like if you have any other shows upcoming, or kung magpa-podcast ka na rin ba? Like
Ah,
where
my
where can they shoot
gosh.
you a message?
I guess the main sockmed naman that I'm active is on Instagram at Klyza Castro. I'm trying to do TikToks again, so same rin at Klyza Castro. And thank you for this podcast. This is actually the first podcast that I've been in, I think.
Really? Oh, it's an
Yeah!
honor.
Oh
Thank
my
you. Oh,
dog.
hello! Oh my gosh,
Say
you're my puppet!
bye.
Oh, my dog's
Gutom na
outside.
siya.
Hi, sweetheart.
Bye.
Is it a boy or a girl?
Yeah, it's a puppy na boy na Pom.
Pom?
He's in his
I
monkey
had a
stage right now.
pom. I had a pom. Ooh. He was
Oh!
7. Anyway, sige, let's chika more on air. But hello, what's his name?
His name is Sky.
Hi, Sky!
Say
Yak,
hi.
nagbabago yung boses pag may aso. Hi,
Di ba? Di ba?
Sky!
Hindi naman.
Hi, Maya. Thank you so much again, Klyza Castro,
Thank you.
everybody. Bye. Have a great day.